Welcome everyone to another episode of the Love Island cast. I'm Chris Phelps and my cynical friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey Chris, I certainly am.
So this is just another update of what we've watched over the last couple of days watching Love Island. Dave, what have you got for me?
Well, I'm still, not bought into this. I still think it's a bunch of narcissists. But I must admit, there are moments. I think Ian Sterling's commentary is sterling. I think it's fantastic. He does make me laugh, to be honest, with some of his comments, and it is very much like they come down with me. But I mean, we've had another couple of episodes, so another couple of days, haven't we? And I do have to say, it did make me laugh. You know, we talked in the last episode about Tommy and Curtis coming in and shaking it all up a bit. We had the day where they went down this slide into a bunch of lubricants, it looked like, which was interesting. And then so a bit of interaction there with Joe and Lucy. We'd laughed, hadn't we, about Anton trying to steam in there. But, you know, Joe is very much turning into Norman Bates, isn't he?
Yep.
You know, so we had the shocking moment, if you like, of when Tommy, you know, he's deliberating. And then I still, you know, he seems like an intelligent enough lad, doesn't he? But I think I need to explain to him what 50-50 actually is. Because he keeps talking about 50-50. Well, it's not if you go one way or the other, you know. So, yeah, but, you know, everyone's kind of thinking the directors are leading us along the path, making us think, well, Tommy, you know, surely he's got eyes. He knows that Lucy's loved up, you know, after a day with Joe and, you know, vice versa. But he's like, nope, going to go with my gut. And he chose Lucy. And I don't know if it was a piece of editing, but by God, she seemed to leap off that chair rather quickly away from Joe and, you know, head off with Tommy for the date.
Yeah, I must admit, Dave, I said to you, we've spoke either side of recording our episodes, that Joe knows exactly what he's doing. He planted the kiss on her. She bought into it. He played up to the cameras. He knew that by doing this, knowing Tommy's going to pick her, that it makes it look like a little love triangle. And then the next minute, lo and behold, Tommy picks her. He's sat there like the dejected, you know, lover. He's been with her less than 2 days. I mean, I must admit, Sam was sat next to me going, fucking hell, what is going on here? They've been together 2 days. And I said, and then she's crying and all this. But that makes it laughy. She then turns then, doesn't she? She's sort of like, well, actually, I think I made a bit of a mistake. But then Tommy's sort of cracking on like, well, I'm going to go with Amber and all this one. And he started talking to her and she's having none of it. She's like, well, hang on a minute. You didn't pick me. Well, I swear on my mum's life and all this and I'm a good guy, me. And I'm like, come on. Give me that bullshit.
He's a smoothie, and he's a smoothie.
Get found out, Dave. I'm telling you, he's only getting found out. And that Curtis as well, he's going to become the shoulder to cry on, but he's going to shit stir it to the hilt in this. I'm telling you, he seems to be there. He's playing good cop, bad cop with all of them, I think.
Do you think he's going to get found out? I actually think he's... Well, there's a few, actually. I think... Well, let's stick on Joe for a second. You know, absolute psycho. I mean, it's interesting. I'm the cynic, but I'm kind of believing what I'm seeing. Again, because, you know, when you're young, sort of 20-something, you do fall in and out of love quite quickly. It's just, or I remember doing, you know, and I can believe, you know, you're in this pressure cooker environment, you're thrown together, and I can believe that you can build up these relationships quite quickly. Now, other people wouldn't, but that's different people. But I do think he's acting too quickly, like in a very possessive way. Yeah. You know, so regardless of how he feels, he's acting like a bit of a tool, you know, I actually think Lucy should be very worried about him. I think they could end up together as a couple. but the fact that he's been a bit of a dick, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, and she'd had a few laughs with Tommy and whatever, but she went off to sleep on the sofa. She's not really, other than look smoking hot, she's not done anything wrong really. And then Joe's like, oh well, you know, I can see you just keeping your options open, so you know, whatever.
Yeah. Oh no, it's funny because we watched it last night, Dave. Sorry to stop you there. Sam's there, and like she's got a pick between Joe and Tom. Sam's obviously, you know, he's a good looking lad. So she's going, how could you not pick Tommy? This is ridiculous. And then she's kept saying it and saying it. And hang on, you've got me sat here. So I'm not chopped liver, you know, love. And like laughing, and she's laughing, going, so you know what I mean? I went, yeah, no, you like him. I said, well, come on, you're laughing, like, but we were having a bit of a laugh. But it's true. I mean, Tommy, aesthetically, I know it's not all about looks. We know it's an emotional thing as well. He has got everything you'd think most girls would go for. Most girls, I know I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but he's got everything, and he's a boxer, so he can protect a lady. He's got manners. He looks like a Greek god, doesn't he? He's an Adonis of a guy. You know, he's a professional sportsman. There's a lot of boxes tick there, Dave. You know, this kid this Joe, and not being disrespectful, he's just a boy band wannabe who's got a face like a slapped ass because he's not getting his own way. It's like, come on. You know,
I mean, to be fair though, can Tommy make a pickle sandwich like Joe can? You know, he has got one plus point, and he makes a good sandwich. What does he say in that episode 1? Everyone loves sandwiches, don't they? And you know what irritates me about all of this lot, right? They all go on about, or especially Amber, I've got the chat like, well, I've not heard you say anything of interest ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's so horrible. I mean, again, the way she goes on to Callum, you know, when Tommy's making his decision, I just imagine Callum like, oh, Bayek, I hope he picks Amber. Just someone get me out of this hellhole. You know, he's an aircraft engineer, and he's bored by her.
Yeah. It's true, though. It's true. It's just...
But I tell you what, sorry, I keep talking over here, but...
No.
But Tommy, he has got the whole package, and he is such a smooth talker, but that is exactly what he is. You know, he goes and sits on the bench there with about 5 of the girls, and they're all swooning, saying, look, I'm not after just a bit of a mess around and whatever. You know, he's saying all the things they want to hear. They're all swooning away, but he's so full of fucking shit because he's going to Amber and saying, oh yeah, well, I sort of picked Lucy in the moment, you know, but you know, I think I'd like to get to know you more. And actually, to be fair, I think Amber played it all right there. I don't know what her game plan is. Does she actually realize she's on like a competition type show? Because she just, you know, doesn't seem to really have a connection with anyone. They claim that her and Tommy had a connection, whereas I don't think. Has anyone said anything of interest yet?
No, not really. I mean, this is what you get though, Dave, to be honest. It's not anything you're seeing. It's just when it kicks off for me. When it goes off and someone comes in, I love where someone is, I said it to you before, he's undying love, and they talk about how much they love this person, and the next minute some other better looking lad or girl comes in, and it's like, who are you again? You know, that for me just shows how cynical these people are and stuff. So, yeah, there's nothing yet, Dave, and they'll play games of that, because what'll happen is people will be coupled up, then they'll play daft, like childish adolescent games like spin the bottle, and you'll get people copying off with each other or it'll be part of one of the games. Or what they'll do is you'll have a couple who've been together for, say, 2 weeks solid, they're in love, they're making love in the house and all this, and then some guy will just come in and go, you're going on a date with me, and then it just goes off completely. So these are the sort of nonsense things that happen, but for TV wise, it's really good to watch. And it's, I know it probably doesn't sound it, but it is.
But I mean, you mentioned about Curtis, so yeah, he does seems like he's lived life a little bit, you know. He's not a complete narcissist, you know, and he's dishing out some decent advice there, you know, because again, Joe's made Lucy feel like she's done something wrong, and I think both Curtis and Amber had sort of said, well, why would you? You know, you had a bit of a snog in the game. You had a bit of a snog on the sofa after. You're not engaged to be married. You know what I mean? And you're on a show. Just take your time. Just chill out a little bit.
Yeah. It's true. But I think because they have like this window for the first coupling up, I don't think anybody wants to be voted off first, and that's what you get. And what you'll find with this though, Dave, it is clever editing. You are right. You'll get ones that they're so prominent in the show for the first few weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like the producers and editors go, you know what, I'm a bit bored of this. Because there was the girl last year, there was he ended up on Dancing with the Stars. They were a couple and they split up on Dancing with the Stars because he said he was getting too close to his co-star. And I think it's Megan she's called. She's really, really attractive girl, Dave. She come in last year and all the lads were just like really, really pretty girl. Megan and Wes, he's called Wes the lad. And he was again though, Dave, he was like worked for British Aerospace or something. He was some sort of top physicist or something, but he give it all up to go on this, you know, and give away his career, whether he'll go back to, I don't know. But she like took over the show and it was all about her. And then she went off with this other lad. Then she got back with him. And it was all over the last summer, like the news and everything. Twitter was going mad about she's horrible. She was like a bit like a Babe Station type girl. She's done a lot of stuff like that, you know, like all these videos and that. And they were together. They had a house together, everything. And all of a sudden, they just stopped. Just one after this drama for weeks and weeks, they just petered off, and they were just in the background altogether, loved up, and that was it. You never saw them again for the rest of the show. Really, they got to the end, but it was just rubbish. You know, I think it was second or third. You could tell quite clearly that their story had gone and they weren't going to edit in anymore, so they didn't edit in anymore and they concentrated on other people. You'll see the switch all of a sudden. Something that was so important last week will be nothing this week. It'll be something else. It's really clever the way they do it.
Yeah. I think, and you know, it's funny actually. I've noticed. I don't know whether you've noticed, but there's been a few times while we've been recording that you've become the cynical one there.
Yeah, like I say, I like the show. I love it, but I'm not deluded or daft to buy into it and go and really think the drama's real and that. I think it's all fake. I just love the cringe factor to it. How ridiculous these people will go just to get that 5 minutes of fame. I just find that so interesting in the people's conscience that they would actually do that.
See, I guess my cynicism comes from somewhere slightly different. So I can believe that Joe the person is that wet and soppy and a closet psycho.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, you know, I don't know, I wouldn't shed a tear. I wouldn't shed a tear if any of them got voted off. But just thinking of the overall show, I think he probably has to go, doesn't he? You know, Anton's, you know, you could see him stirring it up a bit, you know, throwing himself at pretty much anyone blonde at least. You know, it's going to be the duller characters that I think, you know, end up voted off. Yeah. So, but where I think it's engineered by the show's creators and directors. I have seen some, you know, kind of cynicism on social media about, well, you know, we're going to have a new girl coming in tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, it's another blonde, pretty lady. And at the minute, you know, they've been predominantly the ones on the camera most. You know, you've seen Lucy and you've seen Amber the most. Yeah. You know, Yewande, who seems like, you know, quite a grounded, certainly intelligent young woman, you know, hasn't hardly had any screen time at all. But I just think it's less about how she looks, and it's just she's not the right character for an entertainment show. No. It's as simple as that. And, you know, you see that conversation between her and Callum. And, you know, I think even Ian Sterling said at the time, you know, this is what a conversation looks like between an aircraft engineer and a scientist. I think she's a biologist, isn't she? To be more specific. But it's just dull.
Yeah.
You know, so when you've got that love triangle / love square, because you've got Lucy and Amber, Tommy and Joe, the directors have to make choices. What are we actually going to edit this down to and, you know, make it entertaining? So it's not about giving everyone equal screen time at all. It's about, you know, what's going to get people invested.
Exactly. What tells a story? You're telling a story. Like when we do a podcast, you're telling a story, aren't you? There's a structure to it. I know with this one, we're just winging it. But most of our stuff, we structure it, don't we? Anything you do in life, work, there's got to be a structure to your day, aren't there, whatever you do. So, yeah, I agree, especially with storytelling. But, yeah, I'm interested to see, because I think by the end of the week, Tommy will have slid onto someone else now, and he'll be sliding into their DMs, I think.
Tommy, again, I can see he just says all the right things, but I can just see, this young blonde lady who's going to come in, because clearly now, right, Lucy, particularly when she straightens her hair out, being a shallow bastard myself, she is the prettiest one in that.
You know what, Dave? I beg to differ.
Do you disagree?
I don't rate her. No, I genuinely don't rate her. I actually quite like Amber. I quite like Amber, actually, Dave. I've got to say, I think she's rather attractive.
Yeah, but she's just a horrible person, Chris. You can't detach how she looks. And for me, all right, it's hard to quantify, isn't it? But, I mean, she's just horrible. I mean, when she's saying to Callum, oh, you're 28, so you're old then. What a fucking horrible... To a 60-year-old, to a 70, 80-year-old, I wouldn't say that. Just what a horrible thing. And it's do you need a bus pass? 28 is really old. And when she's going on about you can't pull off the sunglasses, I think she's a horrible, horrible person. So I can't, she's aesthetically good looking, but I just can't get past that.
Dave, I just meant when I first see her, I thought she was a very, very pretty girl. And I think, I've got to say, Dave, I'll be honest with you, I am a big fan of Caroline Flack, I've got to say.
Yeah, I think that would throw the cat amongst the pigeons. But in terms of the actual contestants, well, okay, so
and Anna as well. I think Anna's quite attractive as well.
Well, let's face it. I mean, shave off a few years and a divorce in my case, but you probably 10 to 2 on a Saturday night, you probably wouldn't say no to any. But
that's that late, Dave.
But what I'm saying is, clearly the guys in there, agree with my statement that she's, Lucy is the fittest one there right now. But when this new girl comes in, she obviously, she looks very pretty. Depends how she is as a person, but I reckon that's going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. That, and Tommy's going to say to her all the same things that he said privately to Lucy and Amber. It's going to be I'm not interested in anyone else. I'm looking for love. I'm not just looking for a bit of a mess around and that. It's hang about, you've said this to everyone. So I think that will be quite funny.
Brilliant, absolute brilliant. So, Dave, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I mean, how do you think the next few days are going to play out?
I think Tommy's going to get exposed, because I don't know about you as a man, and I'm not saying I've done this sort of thing, but full well what he's talking is utter bullshit. Everyone's lapping it up. Oh, he's a great bloke. He's saying he's respectful. He talks about his mum and that. Dave, what a load of bullshit. He's absolutely playing everyone. He's gone in there thinking, right, I've got to say this, I've got to say that, and it's winning everyone over. And full well that what he's talking is utter nonsense. Absolute nonsense. He's just trying to get coupled up so he's settled in the actual place. I don't believe for a minute he's going in there finding love. And if he does, I can guarantee within 2 months it'll be Tommy Fury and whoever splits, unrecognisable differences. As the loved up couple said, they'll always stay friends. What a load of bollocks.
I kind of wonder though. I mean, is it purely for the show? I'm not. How do you keep up an act so much? We review movies and stuff, don't we? And some of the acting in that is terrible. So are these really such great actors that it all just looks great and everything? Because, in the movies, they have a lot more money to spend and they spend a lot more time editing and directing. So, or is it that just, I can believe that in real life, Tommy says this thing about 5 times a night and then, more often than not, probably because of the way he looks and who he is, it works.
Yes.
So I think he almost believes it himself. And I was saying about Joe being a bit of a psycho. Well, several times, Tommy said, "Oh, my head's battered. You've been in there less fucking time than Joe. Your head's battered. Real life problems, eh? I'm in this, and I get to make I get to basically pick any of these beautiful women to go on a date with. Oh, my head's battered. Don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Get over yourself, you twat.
So we don't listen to this one, Dave.
Yeah. Love you, Tommy.
Brilliant. Must have been brilliant. All right, Dave, it's time to wrap it up. So thank you, everyone, again for tuning in to the Love Island cast. We will be back again in a couple of days with another update of what we've seen so far. I hope you're enjoying this sort of light-hearted side to what we think of Love Island. Dave is correct. I am quite cynical with it at times, but more from the point of view, it's just great TV because it's absolutely nonsense. So thank you, Dave. And have you got anything to say before we go, or is it time to go?
All I've got to say to you, Chris, is, you really shouldn't put your webcam on. It really does nothing for those crow's feet.
That is terrible. Goodbye.